Good evening. This is the Diamonds Network for the Tuesday night show on January 12th, 2016. Elizabeth Diamond here and Dale tonight. And this is the show, Voices from the Alternative World. A really good show to get prepared for what we are already in. It'll help you gain momentum for yourself and for those around you going into the golden age. So welcome, everybody. And, well, let's just start out with reciting the Law of One. The Law of One prayer is a trumper prayer. It's a universal prayer. It's a awesome tool to keep in your heart and pocket and carry all around with you in your everyday life. I use it all the time for every concern that I have. Okay, so let's bring Dale in. Dale, come on in, and you can do the Law of One.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome aboard the Voices from the Alternative World. Originally, we had planned to have a representative of the agricultural world, the Sharing Gardens in Monroe, Oregon, and the scheduling conflict, we have to come up with another alternative. So, in any event, let's begin with the Law of One. We are all one. When one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. So therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, I ask that only the highest good happen. So it is, so be it, and thanks that it is that this is done. Amen.
So be it. Amen, Dale. That was excellent. That was great.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, okay, so now I'm going to read a couple, the first it's only a couple paragraphs, and then Dale will comment on it, I'm sure. And this is on the blog spot that I blogged it today. And I think it has to do, with our subject on Voices from the Alternative World. It's called Welcome to Natural Law Egg. Do you see this egg? There's a picture of a little girl with a big bow in her hair, and she's holding up an egg. Do you see this egg? With this, you can answer every question and solve every mystery. If an egg is broken by outside force, life ends. If broken by inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. When an egg cracks from within, new life is born. Freedom is born. Got to mute out. When an egg cracks from within, new life is born. Freedom is born the same way. Okay, somebody just star 6 to mute out because I hear noise. What we're about. Natural Law Egg is a resource portal for individuals and groups who want to apply natural law in their communities. What we do. We publish natural law ebooks, hard copy booklets, and audio-video presentations. We would also like to come and speak to your group or community. There you go, Dale. And how we do it. We are a seedling enterprise with the goal of meeting you, the public, where you are. Therefore, the shape we take will ultimately be determined by you. At the same time, we realize that a changeover in our world's governance and financial systems is taking place now, and people want to know how to proceed according to natural law. So as we begin, we will let inspiration be our guide and hope to hear from you soon. Oh, I didn't read all of it, Dale. We could call her for a guest. But it's called Natural Law Egg. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, the thing that strikes me is, that we are discovering as our self-discovery progresses, and as we are awakened to a new dimension in our thinking, we are creating that constitution that we're going to require to move forward. And this constitution really an unwritten law, because it's spiritually within our DNA and every one of us. And this Constitution is what gives order to the universe. And when we all awaken to that inspiration, that direct inspiration from the source, that's where the harmony is, because there's no more conflict. There's just, we take our natural place in the order of things, and so this is the process. It's a process that we're going through. We're spiritually awakening to a higher power and acquiescing and agreeing that is the best and the highest for all of us. And it's for each individual to search that out, that highest inspiration within them, so that we all become a harmonious part of the whole. And this is just really that, and that's the basis of all these communities, each functioning, each different in shape and color and size and beauty and elegance, but it's all part of the whole. It's an infinite variety, an infinite variability, and constant motion and changing. So we're no longer going to be governed by written laws, but we're actually going to have a pilot in the cockpit that's really helping us to direct us where we should go, and we're in the beginning stages of it, because really right now there are really two worlds that exist side by side, and and one is flowering and growing, and the other one is just gradually passing away, like an old friend or relative, and all these stages are necessary and have been in progress from the time the earth was formed in the beginning. And so now, as human beings on the earth, we get to delight in participating consciously with the universe around us, and that's both all the seen and the unseen. And it's just it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very fortunate to be where I am in the scheme of things. And also with that comes a responsibility, because
so I just thought those were beautiful there. Let me just read them real quick. Again, what you just said, and I'll just read the things again. Do you see this egg? Within this, you can answer every question and solve every mystery. If an egg is broken by outside force, life ends. If broken by inside force, life begins. Great things always begin from the inside. And then when an egg cracks from within, new life is born. Freedom is born the same way. So there's another moderator on here. Would you like to *6 and unmute and say hi before we get further? I don't know if this is Sunny or our guest that was going to be with Sunny or somebody else. Just *6 and say hi.
Hi, Elizabeth. It's Mare. I just came on for a little bit.
Oh, cool. Hi, Mare. How are you? Do you want to add any comments thus far?
Yes, and I'm loving what you're reading about the egg cracking from within. And I really love all the comments you gave to us yesterday. I mean, those were fabulous. Or was it yesterday? Yesterday. Those were so encouraging and really great.
Oh, the comments on the show there?
Well, that you made. Yeah, the encouraging ones. Just to help people.
Nice.
So
thank you.
Thank you for doing that.
And
I hope
now
enjoy the night. Wishing everyone a beautiful night.
Oh, thank you. Well, stick around and you can come back in with me and Dale. And so now what we did talk about Monday night show, Dale, I was going to go into a little bit tonight. And then Dale is going to bring later on. He wrote a letter to the Pope and to the President. He's going to read the Pope letter tonight, and he has lots to say about that. He has lots of insight, Dale does. But I wanted to go into this the Baltic, and Dale, I want you to comment on this, and then Mary, you can if you want. The Baltic Index, Baltic dry crashes, 5 steps of, that's my title. Okay, it's regarding the Baltic Index. Nothing is moving. Baltic's dry crashes, as insiders warn. Commerce has come to a halt. The continued collapse of the Baltic Dry Index remains ignored by most. Besides, we still have Netflix, right? But as Dollar Vigilante's Jeff Berwick details, it appears the worldwide real economy has ground to a halt. Last week, I received news from a contact who is friends with one of the biggest billionaire shipping families in the world. He told me they had no ships at sea right now because operating them meant running at a loss. This weekend, reports are circulating saying much the same thing. The North Atlantic has little or no cargo ships traveling in its waters. Instead, they are anchored, unmoving, and empty. And then there's a website, you can see that. And then there's a little article, I'll read that. Let me go down there. Commerce between Europe and North America has literally come to a halt. For the first time in known history, not one cargo ship is in transit in the North Atlantic between Europe and North America. All of them, hundreds, are either anchored offshore or in port. Nothing is moving. This has never happened before. It is a horrific economic sign. Well, it's good for us, you guys. Proof that commerce is literally stopped. We checked vesselfinder.com, and it appears to show no ships in transit anywhere in the world. We aren't experts on shipping. However, so if you have a better site or source to track this apparent phenomenon, please let us know. Okay, and there's an article I wanted to read. We also checked marinetraffic.com, and it seemed to show the same thing, not a ship in transit. If true, this would be catastrophic for world trade. Even if it's not true, shipping is still nearly dead in the water, according to other indices. The Baltic Dry Index, an assessment of the price of moving major raw materials by sea, was already at record all-time lows a month ago, and in the last month it has dropped even more, especially in the last week, today. And this came out a day or so ago. Factories aren't buying and retailers aren't stocking. The ratio of inventory to sales in the U.S. is an indicator of this. The last time that ratio was this high was during the Great Recession in 2008. On what rapid rate? Hey, Miss Yellen, what recovery? The economy is taking on water at a rapid rate. The storm has been building for some time, actually. Not so long ago, there was a spate of reports that the world's automobile manufacturers were in trouble because cars were not selling at shipments, and shipments were backing up around the world. Oh, automobiles. That I blogged last year, you guys. Can you believe it? I was like astounded. Automobiles aren't selling. They probably still aren't, but there's pictures that these automobile people, corporates, they buy up all of this, tons of acres of land just to put all the cars on there so they can, move them from the factory and make more cars. And there's probably all these pictures I see, and I blogged last year with all the cars that are, they got to keep making them to make money, but they have an overstock of cars. I'm telling you, maybe this is going to be a fun thing. Maybe we'll all get a free brand new car because there's so many cars that are sitting on these farm fields, the land fields, that they haven't sold. Wouldn't that be astounding, right, guys? Okay, and then I'll say, go ahead.
Oh no, Elizabeth, I don't want to interrupt you because you've got a complete thought there. When you're finished, then I'll be happy.
I just have a few more to read here. The world's economy seems in serious trouble. You can't print your way to prosperity. All you are doing is hollowing out your economy, draining it, and sooner or later it is empty, and you have to start over after a good deal of crisis and chaos. Yeah, we're going to start over in the golden age, right? Different way of doing things. It's no coincidence that China is struggling desperately to contain a stock implosion. Reportedly, banks have been told they are forbidden to buy U.S. dollars, and numerous Chinese billionaires have gone missing. And the markets have just opened on Monday and are again deeply in the red. Here at the Dollar Vigilante, we've specialized in explaining the reality of the global Fox economy and why it's important that you not believe mainstream media lies. In the meantime, keep your eye on this shipping story. If it is true and worldwide shipping is disastrously foundering, it'll only be a matter of days before grocery store shelves will reflect that with increasingly bare shelves. Are people upset now? Just wait. Interruptions in goods and services, most critically food, almost happened in 2008 during the great financial crisis. For 3 days, worldwide shipping was stranded due to shipping companies not knowing whether or not the receiver's bank credit was good. That crisis was staved off due to massive amount of money printing. It was a temporary stay of execution, like bailing out the Titanic with coffee cups. However, and one that may reach much larger proportions in 2016. Sailors watch the weather to see if it is safe to set sail. Investors should be watching the economic climate with the same intensity. We are already sailing through very stormy waters. Okay, I'll end there, but that's good news, you guys. We may have a changeover, and one of these times they're not going to be able to make more money. And we heard Nasera, they have trucks of food ready for us or whatever, how that is. Or maybe we will just naturally work together and help neighbors helping neighbors if, that happens. And I don't know. What are your thoughts, Dale and Mayor? And
and I'd like to preface this that, when my uncle was rapidly studying economics at 15 years of age when the first depression hit, and in fact, right now, a couple of weeks ago, I got Ben Bernanke's book, The Courage to Act, which is just a memoir of the whole process of 2008 and what the really unusual and heretofore never made moves by the international banking community to provide liquidity. And fundamentally it's confidence, and when the confidence goes, the markets go. And right now, and it's Delano Roosevelt said it best. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And what the fundamental fear is that all these people that have faith in this document, this entitlement of ownership and wealth, and the extension of credit based on collateral, everybody that's central in the banking system and in any of these major banking houses is their foundations. And this is, and also we understand that Karl Marx said the problem with capitalism is surplus value, and it's simply a matter when the investors invest and the producers produce, and as long as the producers are selling what they're producing, that money exchange between the consumer, producer, and investor, the velocity is going, and you have a working economic model. But once the consumers don't consume, the producers don't produce, and the investors don't invest. And the problem with investors is that it all functions on credit. So in order for the investor to invest, all of his negotiable instruments have to have value, whether stocks or bonds or, whatever, and or real estate or some negotiable instrument. They say, okay, yeah, you have that. I have confidence I can get my money back. Well, what's happened?
Oh, yeah, and then comment if you know anything about the Baltic in the what I read. So explain it to people if you know about the Baltic index too.
Yeah,
because
well,
that's a really good picture. Yeah.
Yeah, well, fundamentally, what's happening? Nothing moves without a profit, and nothing moves without a guarantee that if I do this, I'm going to get my money. So all of the AAA standards for good faith, good faith and credit are falling apart because everything is losing its value, and so that fear comes in and says, well, I'm not going to fill my boat up with gas and go over there because I don't know if I'm going to get my money back. So everybody, and this is classically called in economics a money strike. Everybody turns the brakes on. They don't extend the credit, and nobody buys anything. Nobody produces anything. And this is the worst case scenario. And when my uncle, got through his study of economics, he got to the point where this was inevitable. This money strike was inevitable and predictable. And him and Dr. Fack, they were working with Sylvia Gesell, the German economist, Natural Economic Order. The whole reason why Sylvia Gesell developed that was to have untrammeled production, and inverse interest on money. Get money, so money, if you held on to it, it lost its value. Instead of what we have now, which is an interest-bearing bond debt system, which is eventually all systems are destroyed with overburdensome debt and taxation. And so that's, you just run out of borrowing power. And so when the people on the inside, the economists, see that, well, you guys are just printing money, you have nothing to back it up. I don't want to put any faith in that. And so this fear is systemic through all the central banks throughout the world, and the shipping is just a symptom of a much more serious disease. And ultimately, the end game is that we are going to learn to live without ownership of land or use of money, and that's the natural order of things. But this may be dis-ease, and it's turned into disease for all of us, like a cancer. But now this is good news because it's coming to a halt. It's a good sign that. The thing about it, Elizabeth, it would be a good thing if everybody was spiritually developed. But when you've got a spiritually dark world that puts its faith in arms, it could tend to be catastrophic. And so I know that cooler heads are going to prevail here in the banking system, and they have to create laws that don't exist to do.
And Dale, the insiders know all about this, so there's got to be a group of people that are awake inside, that are close to the money system and all that have a different plan for it not to come into chaos, or we can naturally turn into a community around the world because, people naturally, I've seen it around, people naturally help people in disasters,
What's the first thing that's got to happen? Everybody's got to go out in the backyard and break up their concrete and grow a garden so they have food. And that's why I'm so crazy about gardens, because if we can manage to get through that first hurdle so that people aren't hungry and when our stomachs are full, we can ferret out the rest of it, but when there's actual food shortages and the extreme. And my uncle used to really, really get angry with me because he always said, well, listen, that's never going to happen because we're going to have, by the time that happens, we're going to have 100,000 cities built and everybody will clearly see the direction. And, well, unfortunately, we don't have 100,000 cities built. We do have a good permaculture base and sharing garden base in Oregon and our eco village in British Columbia and New Haven, the safe havens in Utah, and we got these organizations that have been doing the work for the last 10 or 15 or 20 years that are going to their voices when everybody nothing moves and Wall Street's like just a bunch of empty buildings. Then the voice of reason is going to say, well, let's get out and grow vegetables and help each other so we can eat, and eventually, see, the thing about guns is that's fine, but eventually the gun factories shut down too because nobody has any money to buy any, I mean, when you have a money strike, I mean, boom, that is the worst case scenario, and all these tragic events that took place in our history over 800 years, where all these revolutions take place, the majority of the time it's because of it's the eventual outcome of overburdensome taxation and overburdensome interest. It just it just
and I say this time, that's why I brought that in the Baltic Dry Index article, that there's no ships and they're all docked, is a good sign. It's really crumbling, and I say the next revolution we're going to have is the love revolution, because there is a foundation of a lot of people awake all around the world, and we'll lead that. We'll lead the people into that.
We have to really, and this is why I'm here. This is why I belong here, because that torch has to be lit. But right now, they're in the same place, exactly the same place that they were in October of 2008.
But it's worse now, though, than 2008.
Yeah,
but they're hiding it. They're even tucking it under the rug even more. So that tells you a thermometer of, that it's really hot. So it's good.
What they're doing, Elizabeth, they're burning the midnight oil and building the construct that they need to get the money moving under this circumstance. And so they can create money, they can forgive debt, they can do all kinds of things to get the economic, and believe me, it's just bubble gum and baling wire. There's no structural change in the fundamental, it's a leaky ship and it's eventually going to sink, but they're going to put some Bondo on it and get a little further closer to shore,
and eventually this money debt system that's faked out for us, it'll come leaking out even more and more. So, because, I think that would be the natural thing, that if it leaks out, so people will know, and then the process into the moneyless system and helping each other and all that.
I think what the creator's doing here is just destroying that confidence that they have in a money system. That they
and the
say,
money system is hooked up to food and commodities and everything else. Yeah,
the whole thing. That confidence really has to be destroyed before we can move forward. So when somebody says, "Well, listen, why don't we just live in small communities in peace and be self-sufficient?" That'll be like an atom bomb going off. Right now, the cacophony of all the nonsense is drowning out that voice. And
absolutely.
And when the grocery stores no longer have any food in them, and they've got bank accounts with thousands of dollars, and they start giving up their appendages to get a loaf of bread, then when somebody says, well, listen, the fellow's wife that was going to be on the program, he has discovered that really we are living in a world of abundance, and we have a bunch of scarcity. So something's wrong.
And to me, it's got to be a transition, because in the transition, that's where you learn you turn around the other way. If the good guys or whatever fixed it where it went from this and then boom, all of a sudden it's changed, we wouldn't learn from it. We learn from transitioning. Would you say?
This is going to be a spiritual ladder that every individual has to climb, and go over overcome those hurdles that are preventing us from living together as one group of human beings.
It's going to be that egg egg that's broken from the inside out, which is our heart. Yes.
That's it. That's it, Liz. You hit it on the button, kiddo. And
okay, let's go to the subject. And Dale wrote just prelude why you wrote the letters to the Pope and the President, and go into yours. I'll give you the floor.
Well, everybody, you have to understand that this letter is written as a result of a lifetime being mentored by somebody that happened to be my uncle and my mentor and my friend. So I don't expect everybody to agree with this, but these structural, and you mentioned it before, Elizabeth, the cancers that exist within these institutions have to be acknowledged for what they are. Not discredit the institutions for all the good they've done and the role that they played, but the transition that these institutions have to go through before we can move forward. So I'm not going to put myself on the level of Galileo, but I'm Galileo-like in the sense that I say, well, look, the world isn't flat; it's round. We have to acknowledge this. And I always use Galileo because when he discovered that the world was round, the Pope put him under house arrest for the rest of his life, and he was charged and found guilty of heresy. So the truth, in a world that we live in of falsehood, the truth is not like a welcome friend. It's more like the truth is a terrorist. So,
let me just, I did blog a 5-minute video that this man put out, and he followed Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, the stages of death. Well, he put that to the stages of awakening, and the first stage is denial. The second stage is anger, and you got to listen to that. So yes, it's true.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So I'm coming at the Pope, and what I'm trying to do is provoke him to acknowledging the truth and living by it. And so it's for those people that are among the faithful and believers. It's not easy to accept this kind of language that I'm using, but it's necessary. It's a growth process, and really I'm compelled to do this because of my background. This is one of the many things that I'm involved in. I'm less and less interested in doing this, but I want to get these ideas on as a matter of record, because their easy way out is to say, well, if I would have known this, I would have done something. Well, they've known about this, and believe me, the FBI followed my uncle around for 3 years, and everybody knows about this, but this is just a matter of getting on the record for the Creator. And so it's taken with that and is also as discharging my responsibility, because I'm the one that sees that in this particular case, this particular world is round, and they're insisting it's flat. Then I'm saying, no, you got to acknowledge this, and I really don't care what they do to me, but the truth has to win out. So that was saying that. This is the latest letter to Pope Francis. I've just got it formatted, and I've got to get it printed and shipped out, but I'll have it sent out before the end of the month. So this is just like a little preview.
Dale, I just want to victoriously declare, command that your letter have the Law of One signature on it, highest good of all concerned, and I victoriously declare that the Pope will answer your letter, and we'll get to read it on the Diamonds Network. That would be awesome.
Wow, boy, that would be that would be earth-shattering, and particularly for me, because I'm expecting one of his underlings out of fear to just throw it away and him not see it. So, but the point of
Dale,
it is,
here's what I want you to do, Dale. If you mail that same letter to the Pope once a month, please. Persevere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's try a tester, huh?
Well, in this particular case, I'm gonna mail a book of Waspy with the letter, but I'll be happy to do that. That's not a problem. That's something I'm capable of. It's within my reach. So anyway, for whatever, however it goes, here it is. And I begin. Dear Pope Francis, all are served by vigorous dialogue that provokes thought and stimulates growth. The substance of my letter to you is that our shared desire for peace must be demonstrated in our thoughts and behavior as well as prayer. I believe the primary reason that our world is unable to achieve peace is the world's religions have misconstrued our freedom of choice with our Creator's will. A major step forward in the effort to establish world peace was the declaration of the world's religions at the Congress of Conscience, that the individual's conscience overruled any tradition or doctrine of any church or religion. The astounding feature of this declaration is that all matters concerning every individual, it is the exclusive right and responsibility of that person to follow the direct inspiration of the Creator, even if it conflicts with the tradition, ceremony, or doctrine of any church or religious belief. Finally, religious order is in step with the Creator's will insofar as the freedom and tolerance of choice is concerned. This is a monumental step forward. However, there remains an 800-pound gorilla in the sanctuary, the sacredness of life. If we continue to live in this quagmire of laws written by corrupt, unprincipled rogues who quarrel endlessly over the right to take life and when it's legal and when it's not, peace will be impossible and the church's doctrine will be correct. War, crime, and poverty are God's will and are to remain so in perpetuity. If that is the case, let Darwin reign. God doesn't exist or has abandoned planet Earth and left us to make of it what we will, like an absentee slumlord. May the best gangster win. We are free to choose which alpha to follow and the method of our execution, Trump and laser-guided smart bombs or ISIS and machetes. Francis, I am not suggesting throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I got to scroll a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, please, Volve. Okay. Francis, I am not suggesting throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Quite to the contrary. I was raised by my grandmother, Cecilia Lindenberger, a devout German Roman Catholic, like your predecessor, Benedict, who also received a letter and a copy of the Book of Waspy for me. My grandmother went to every service possible until late in life when her son, Guido Blome, my mentor, discovered the Book of Waspy and finally persuaded his parents that it was wiser to live truth than butt their head against the Creator. My grandmother ranked in the 99 percentile when it came to calculating the degree of stubbornness she possessed. Please trust me when I say that Guido's powers of reason and persuasion are something I have never witnessed in anybody in my lifetime. Hands down, he would agree. It would be 10 times easier, given the time and opportunity, to convince you to leave the church than 11 German Roman Catholic family members over 70 years ago in St. Louis, Illinois. Please forgive me for rambling needlessly. It is simply very fond memories of deeply loved family members who have passed on. It is a good time to pause briefly and reflect on one of my favorite philosophers. Voltaire quotes, "There is no greater evil than a belief that is declared supreme and therefore claims for itself the right to kill." Excuse me, just 1 second, I gotta scroll. And I want to repeat this because this is the essence of all wars by religions or ideologies or any system of belief that grants itself the right to kill out of supremacy. Not Hitler, Germany. You name name your poison. But it all comes down to that. That once that something is declared supreme and takes for itself the right to kill, then that's where they've gone against the Creator's will. If you agree with our friend Mr. Voltaire, then for peace to be attainable, all life must be sacred and under the jurisdiction of our Creator, exclusively without exception. If life is truly sacred, that means the killing or maiming or torturing or abusing or using violence of any kind against our fellow human beings is contrary to the will of our Creator. This is in direct conflict with the doctrine of the Church and its position concerning righteous wars, which is as much in conflict with the truth as its discovery that the world is round and insisting it's flat and convicting the messenger of heresy and imprisoning him for life. The secular world has rationalized murder with the mantra of God's will and the Darwinian science, proving that we as a species are mindless beasts, genetically predisposed to murder and mayhem as part of the natural order of things. You, sir, stand at the titular head of a worldwide organization that supports, promotes, and prospers of the merchants of death, cleverly disguised under the cloak of the military-industrial complex, charged with the task of protecting the faithful from Satan and evil. A little bit more scrolling. Okay, here we go. Let's see. So, Francis, we come once again to the supreme arbiter, your conscience. What are you going to do about it? Honestly, my friend, I confess, I am lazy, and if I were you and I discovered the inconvenient truth, there's a good chance I might just continue the masquerade and spread smoke and holy water and tranquility until my expiration, or, in the face of all the monumental opposition and the risk of being persecuted, just resign for reasons of old age or infirmity, which are reasonable and justified. Then leave it to the cardinals to sort things out. You could acknowledge the wisdom in the Book of Waspy, which I sent you, and resign with the explanation that under the light of new information discovered in the book, your conscience demands that you resign and encourage everyone in the world to read a Waspy and explain that you had advised your council to devote the Vatican press to printing and distributing throughout the world the Book of Waspy exclusively for the benefit of mankind. This option was the one my friend, mentor, and Uncle Guido Blome would recommend for the quickest way and easiest way to distribute light around about the world and achieve the best results as far as ceasing hostilities and promoting peace, and making your burden light by being able to quickly silence all the cacophony with a short, clear public service address. Ladies and gentlemen, excuse me one moment, time for scrolling. You say, well, I'll repeat that statement because, the minute something, you make a public announcement, like you've got 6 billion people that want to know what the hell's going on. And it's very simple. Ladies and gentlemen, the message in the Owaspy is clear. Read the Owaspy first. Prepare yourselves to take the oath of the covenant. After taking the oath of the covenant, gather together with others to work organically to accomplish good works. You will have very little to say, but a punch list of things to do longer than the Oxford Dictionary. What the Owaspy does is make everybody responsible directly to the Creator. The time for prayers and praise and flattery are over. It is time to get busy. To start with, there are thousands of infants dying needlessly because some politician somewhere wrote a law that said it's not my kid. I will take care of mine, you take care of yours, and all will be well. Those days are over. One choice is the heroic path of faith and courage which would be to stay in office, distribute the book, and begin the task of shepherding humanity on the path to the next form of government to follow republics, the fraternities or intentional communities, as described in the chapter The Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth, which would place your legacy among those people who are the most beloved. Another option is to read the letter in the book and gradually make whatever progress you can within the limited powers you have for the remainder of time you are Pope, which, by the way, is a reasonable and noble choice. At least something is accomplished instead of nothing. The worst possible choice is for your underlings to lack the faith and courage to see to it that it gets in your hands and deny you the opportunity to make a choice. The Creator's eye is on all of us, and the chance this does reach your hands, you have read the letter and you would like to communicate. I gave my mailing address, a phone number, and information, contact information. And then I say, I close the letter. May you be blessed. May you be blessed with the faith, courage, and wisdom needed to carry out our Creator's will on earth as it is in heaven. Love and peace, Dale Blomé. Well, that's it, Elizabeth.
That's beautiful. I love that letter. And you sent one to Obama too, right? President Obama?
Yeah, I read it. I'll be happy to read it.
I was just thinking you should send him one. Send the letter you wrote him every month too, and let's see what happens. Huh?
Okay, well, that's why you're the director. You've got to give us things to do. So I've got things to do, and I'll do that because it's time. It's what do you do when you get on a marketing campaign? You stay on message, right? So I've got some messages, and I'll keep sending them.
Absolutely, yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I think and really, I have to scroll it on the computer, but this is a one-page letter.
Yes, that's beautiful. Don't throw the baby out of the bathwater, and I don't know, a couple lines in there. I was smiling. I said, "Yeah, that was a heartfelt letter."
Well, it's a result of 50 years of being active at trying to change this thing. So this is and if my uncle was here, I wouldn't have to do any thinking, because he'd have the plan. So in his absence, I'm kind of like in the Pope's position. I can't just sit here and do nothing. I wouldn't be able to face my uncle in the next world if that was the case. So there's a little fire, on the seat of my pants that says, "Well, come on, let's do something."
Absolutely, that's great. Does anybody in the audience like to comment or come in? The room's open. Just *6. Come on in. We were talking about how the Baltic Index, no ships out, and the Pope's letter.
Yeah, well, I hear. I think we've got a pretty good sized audience. They're just not here in a mortal state, Elizabeth.
Yes, they're listening.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else you wanted to bring in on this theme tonight, Dale? Anything on your heart?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's already been an hour. You believe it? Time flies.
Yeah. Well, and when the only one thing is because I know that if we don't have it, the spiritual leaders don't come. There's a deafening silence from the religious community as far as providing a way out of this. So they're cowering. They're cowering in fear, waiting for Jesus or Buddha or Mohammed to come back and straighten this out for them. But unfortunately, we're the ones that created the mess, and we're the ones that have got to correct it. By changing our behavior. And that's through love and forgiveness and reconciliation and redemption and restoration and all the things that have to take place to move this thing forward. without any with as least amount of violence and catastrophic events as we can.
Yes, and I say this is really the action time. This year, action time. Next year, action time. Into the transition.
It's all about, and that's why I really focus on the gardens because we can pretty much tolerate everything if our stomachs are full. We could okay. Well, I'm not have to worry about hunger. Then getting warm. We probably got more. Everybody's probably got more clothes in their closet than they're going to use the rest of their life, unless they're growing, But I mean,
right.
I don't have to buy a single garment. I mean, I've accumulated
news flash. When you're younger, 20, you like to shop and get clothes, and 30s, even in the 40s, I haven't bought clothes, different clothes so it changes that way.
Wear them out. I just wore I wore when I was younger and really, really active, but now I don't. Heck, this stuff is made with, carbon fiber thread, and it's basically indestructible. But
I can't wait till we get to the stage where we have lots of people creating clothes. I can go to somebody and because I like unique clothes, create my own design to wear. And
this is the thing about cotton fibers and hemp and everything. I think the beautiful Indian blankets with all their stuff, the new age chemists are going to come up with different fibers, and we're going to see things that we've never seen before. It's just going to be miraculous. But my sister used to work on a loom, and she made some of the really, really beautiful garments, And so there's all the we're going to be freed up from that wage slave. And so our talents, we'll have an opportunity to develop our talents, and the world's going to benefit from all of that, Music and art, and science. This is all going to blossom like crazy.
It is. It's going to be fun. Yes. We are a garden ourselves. We're the flowers in the garden.
Absolutely. We're like an abandoned lot right now. We're just the world's a bunch of weeds because nobody's taken the time to cultivate it.
Yeah. But weeds should be beautiful in their own way.
That's our goal, is to make every square inch of this earth beautiful and delightful, And
absolutely.
That's so we got. Thank goodness that this thing didn't go on, and the whole world wasn't covered in concrete that we'd have to remove. The vast majority of the world is uninhabited, so we got a virgin, a blank canvas to start painting on.
Absolutely. And so those who coming, we talked about the Baltic Dry Index, no ships in the sea, the system, good news of transition, hot and heavy. And Dale read a letter regarding the Pope. So if you want to re-listen to this call, you can dial in the recorded line number and just put the same pin and then push the pound sign if you guys want to listen to it after we're done. Go ahead, Dale.
I was going to say that this is an ongoing thing, and I'll do that, and I'll just keep doing it. And when I get a response, I'll let everybody know. The minute I get any contact.
And Dale, look on the blog. It's the last blog, and look down. It's the lady from Africa, and she plays a film. This is like an 8-minute video on the blog, and she plays a business meeting. A lady from Sierra-Leone, or I don't know how to say it, in Africa, and how rich they are, and how the bad guys are stealing from Africa and covering up. It's really good. At the end, she shows you the website where I read about the egg. And maybe you can contact her. Maybe she would be a great guest to come in. For the community.
Okay. I'll search the log and make an effort to reach out to her. If I have any trouble doing that, I'll get a hold of you, and we'll try some other way, or maybe I'm not doing something right. But absolutely.
Okay, that would be great. And if there's anybody now that would like to come in, here's your chance. Just *6. And tomorrow is Candy's show. Julian Wells, he's a bilocator at the Palladian Observation Ship, and he'll be there. And I just saw on Facebook he just had a brand new baby, him and his wife, on a 1/11/2016.
What a lucky kid to be a baby right now at this time, where she's going to see the whole world blossom. You know. And
her middle name is Luma, like illuminate, Luma, Luma. Her middle name.
Yeah, that's what we need a lot of. Not a lot of illuminate.
Okay, Dale. I think we're.
On this closing note, my uncle used to say, sometimes the darkness illuminates the way. It's not because we know where to go, but because everything becomes so black, we resort to the obvious necessity, and that's the path,
So
and I would say the necessity right now is everybody should be a very, very accomplished gardener. So we don't have to think about food shortages.
So you diamonds out there, you keep on shining and illuminate the path, the way.
Yeah.
Until next week, Voices from the Alternative World. Be sure to go to the YouTube channels. The links are on the Diamonds blog, Diamonds with an S Forever, 31.blogspot.com, right-hand side, and listen to all the voices from the alternative world. And we'll see you next week.
Are you looking for healing or a change in your life to help you enjoy it more fully? You might benefit from a galactic energy reading and clearing from Chris Jacobs. Chris will work with you on a soul level to clear unseen negative influences, implants, programs, contracts, and energetic blocks. Chris Jacobs is a gifted energy healer. Contact him today at ChristopherStephenJacobs@gmail.com.